Malpal, let's head over to the hotline and bring in the guy we missed ever so dearly yesterday. He is the Hall of Famer Craig Way, and I believe he's coming to us from the Big Apple. Craig, how's New York?
It was really good last night. I'm now kind of nestled in the, some would say it's the armpit of the metropolitan New York area, New Jersey. But I shouldn't say that because my mom grew up not far from here. So, no, I'm with the Texas basketball team, and they're practicing right now at Keene University in preparation for their game with Seton Hall tomorrow night up here when they'll play in Newark.
Exciting times. I'm assuming it's quite a bit colder up there than it is down here.
Yeah, I thought about stepping outside the arena to do this and chat with you guys, and no, it's just a little too cold and dank. So I moved inside. So and it was chilly on top of the Empire State Building last night too. I can tell you that. Even though they got the warmers overhead, it was still pretty chilly. 86 floors above the street.
Man, I do not doubt that. All right, Craig, let's kind of take a flashback here. So that regional semifinal round 2 weeks ago now was, I mean, as y'all would say, crazy town banana pants. It was just big school after big school, perennial powerhouse falling week in and week out. It seems like last week was a little bit more tame, and you've got kind of the Blue Bloods, the South Lakes, the Duncanvilles, all of them, the North Shores, they kind of took care of business. Is that after that regional semifinal round and all the chaos that ensued there, did you expect a little bit more of a calm week in the regional final round last week?
If only, Pickle, because we couldn't have forecast it being any crazier than it was that week. I think we thought order would largely be restored, and it largely was. So, that I think that probably as much as anything. But you look at those brackets, and it's blue bloods, like you said. It's household names. In 6A Division I, all four are household names. In 6A Division II, only Tomball is kind of the outlier there. Otherwise, Geyer and Katy and Westlake are all well-familiar names. I mean, Mansfield Summit was a Final Four team in 5A D1 a year ago, so maybe only Flower Bluff. And, of course, Pato is a newcomer, but we've been talking him up all year. So, and South Oak Cliff clearly is the delight and the surprise of many to reach the Final Four for the first time in 51 years. So in the four divisions encompassing the two largest playoff brackets in the state, it's still chock full of brand names, so to speak.
Absolutely. And then that kind of is perfectly led me into my next question of, we do have those rematches that we are used to seeing, at least in the past couple of years, in the state, heading into the state semifinal round. You've got Martin Falls City Volume 4 now, Timpson and Shiner we saw last year, Wascom Franklin, Liberty Hill Crosby. So you have those matchups that we have seen in recent years, but then you also have the oddballs now of Gunner not playing Canadian for the first time since 2015, with Lubbock Roosevelt making its way in. So I'm curious, in your opinion, which one do you kind of enjoy seeing more? Maybe the traditional rock fight that is, Martin Falls City that we've seen for 4 years in a row? Or is it, hey, look, there's someone else. Gunner's got a different team to go up against.
If I was a network television executive, I've always heard this about the NCAA tournament, that the folks in the CBS television family, they always want all the big shockers to come in on the first weekend. They want the Florida Gulf Coasts and the Loyolas and all of those.
The North Texas.
Yeah, there you go. They want them to win on the first weekend, but then they want kind of order to be restored in the Blue Bloods once they get to the Sweet 16 on from there. But I don't work for a network, a television network that televises the NCAA basketball tournament. So I'm fine with however it works out. I do enjoy seeing different parts of the state represented, no matter who it is. I like seeing a Flower Bluff get into the Final Four. I like seeing Lubbock Roosevelt and Lubbock Cooper get in from there. We know that the Panhandle is always going to be represented in some form. So even though Canadian didn't get there, Stratford got there in 2A D2, and then seeing Hawley out of the Big Country, seeing Marlin from the Super Centex, Lago Vista for goodness sakes, out of the Greater Austin area. We're seeing some fresh new faces in there, and that's exciting to see, along with the ones you expect to see.
Right, and with those new faces that you just mentioned, whether it be Lago Vista, whether it be Marlin, whether it be, any of these teams that were kind of not necessarily came out of nowhere, but some of them really did, to be honest with you. If you had to pick one we'll put it in air quotes, upset this week of maybe, you know, a perennial powerhouse going up against one of these newer teams. Out of all the matchups, which one do you think you would say would be most likely?
Wow. It's a great question. You know, I don't know that you can necessarily call this an upset, really, because I think the computer even likes them. But we've never seen China Spring get into a state championship. Cuero, we know, is a given, proven commodity, but China Spring, of course, knocked off Carthage. So can they knock off another big name to get there? I think that's one of the things that folks are wondering about, if that could happen. So there is that. Maybe Lubbock Cooper and South Oak Cliff are a pair of teams who haven't had that opportunity to get to the state championship. So I don't know that either side is an upset if it works out that way. So I think all of those come to mind. LBJ's trying to break through for the first time in school history, and they've been number one for many weeks now. So I know the computer and a lot of folks expect the Jaguars to get there, but until you break through for the first time, you still haven't done it. So I think all of that comes to mind. Maybe Mount Vernon. We'll see if they can hang with Brock. And we expect probably a lot of the favorites to advance. But, you know, the old thing about that's why they play the games, there's a lot of teams here that are capable of knocking off favorite teams in this week's bracket.
And usually this is the last question. I will have one more question for you after this, but we'll go ahead and play your and Tepper's favorite game here of I'm going to give you 3 options. Now, knowing you, I'm going to give you a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday game, so for the sake of the game, we're going to choose one.
Okay.
6A-D2. It's kind of the game that we all had circled after we figured out they were both going to D2. Katy and Westlake, that's Saturday at McLean Stadium. Then 5A-D2, we're going to give you Lubbock Cooper and Sauk, 7:30 p.m. on Friday in Abilene. Or we're going to go down to the smallest 11-man classification. Our computer has this one, a pick'em game with Stratford and Albany, Thursday at Lubbock's Lowry Field. Which one are you teleporting to?
Wow, it's a great choice. I make better choices even on this list than Tepper does, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
Back into a corner and told I could only pick one, I think I would go for Lubbock Cooper and South Oak Cliff. I think this is going to be a really good game. Katy and Westlake, we know, are brand names. They're household names. Todd Dodge was saying this morning, you know what you're going to see and what you're going to get out of Katy every single time. That said, I do think that Westlake may have the upper hand because they have they're on a tremendous roll in this final round. So I don't know that I'm necessarily expecting the Westlake to win, but I certainly expect them to have a really good shot to win. Stratford and Albany, it is a rock fight. Whatever those teams of the traditional powers in the lower classifications get together. But forced to choose only one from a curiosity perspective to see who can finally break through and get to a state championship for the first time in school history, out of those 3 matchups, this is the only one where the winner is going to be in a championship game for the first time ever. So that's why I'd probably go with Lubbock Cooper and Sauk.
We are on the same thought process there. And finally, Craig, I've got to ask you, because you were there when something happened on Saturday night. You were on Scoreboard Live, and y'all went to commercial break. I was watching, and all of a sudden, Tepper came back. I went to go take a picture of the screen to tweet it out and say, man, the set looks a lot better with Tepper. And then you were the one that was able to break the news that little Max was making his way into town. Take us kind of behind the scenes there from your perspective, and what was that like for y'all on the set of Scoreboard Live?
Well, it was unique. There's no doubt about it. If we could invent something else to put on the show, that would have been it. It was we were just humming along. Things are going fine. If you watch the first half of the show, you can see Tepper's in his usual mode. As I said at one point when he was talking about something, and I said, and he made a point, and I said, it's not hyperbole. We know you can be given over to hyperbole, and we were all laughing. Things were just humming along. We got to the break right at the top of the hour, and we were getting ready to have Homer Matlock on from Westbrook, and Tepper looks down at his phone, and he just very calmly and almost matter-of-factly says, I think the baby might be coming. And we're like, really? And so then he called, I think, his mother-in-law, and he got done, and he said, okay, I think it's coming. And Rick Renner and I looked at each other and like, dude, you need to go. and he said to Patrick Madrovsky, our producer, can I go? And he was like, yeah, get out of here, go. and then the video that you posted there, him getting up and wrapping up his stuff and get out, he just kind of zoomed out. And then I noticed from his tweet and from what in the text message that he sent us that Max arrived like 2.5 hours later.
Right.
So he didn't make it by a lot. He made it there, but it wasn't by an awful lot. He didn't leave an awful lot of margin for error on that field. It was unique. There's no question about it, but we were very excited for him and Jen and for little Max coming into the world. It was definitely a different way to go into the second hour of the program. And so we were coming out and, we were talking business in the break going, okay, Tep's highlights. When Rick is going the game before, I'll do Tepper's highlights, the ones that he's that are earmarked for him. And when I'm going, and then Tepper's highlights are supposed to come next on another segment, Rick would jump in there. So we just kind of divvied it up. And then Patrick said, oh, by the way, let everybody know he's gone. So I did. And that was pretty much it.
Yes, yeah. I was sitting there watching, and I just hear you go, well, Tepper's not here anymore. And I was like, oh, it's happening. Like, it's happening now. It's so too funny. Well, Greg, man, we appreciate you hopping on with us. Enjoy New York, and best of luck to the Texas basketball team this weekend.
Thanks, ladies. We look forward to being back there this weekend for a big weekend of football.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.